The Wisdom's Rewards, Episode 1, Part 1. The retrospective. Some important date, fact of my first decade from 1983 to 1993. March 1983. A cannon shot. You came in the world as a cannon shot, said my mother with confidence and a nostalgic smile. You were born at 10:30 in the morning at Ngaliema Hospital in Kinshasa. It was Dr. Sulu Mwang who escorted you. Dad was at work. I was alone with the worker, Makambo. I had already prepared my bag 2 weeks earlier as per the doctor's advice. At the first contractions, come to the hospital, he said. Then he added with a firm tone, do not delay because this birth will be a cannon shot. Thus, as soon as I felt the first contractions, I remembered the obstetrician's words. Immediately, I asked Macambo to call me a taxi to get to the hospital. It took him an hour to bring home a taxi, for he was looking for the taxi driver who would charge the least for this trip. At that time, we were living in a pretty little renovated house in Matete, in the south of the city of Kinshasa. My parents were the owners since July 1975. From Matete to Ngaliema, the distance was about 45 minutes without traffic jam. Still, it was not next door. But as we wanted to benefit from quality health care, distance did not matter. As my mother was getting near the house gate, a taxi just stopped in front of her. Macambo hurried towards her to unload her from her bag while apologizing for the delay. As for the driver, he immediately opened the rear door and held it tightly. My mother, in all her discomfort, slapped Macambo, then entered the vehicle, saying to the driver in Lingala, Papa, toke, toke, ngonga esiele kimingi, which means, Sir, let's go, let's go. The time has already passed. After 15 minutes of driving, the taxi ran out of gas around Kauka. Through the window of her door, she saw a long car line waiting by the nearest gas station. Because of her condition, the waiting line was reduced. However, instead of a full tank, the taxi driver only pumped 5 liters. The driver hopped in the car and started it suddenly. During the first 5 minutes of driving, my mother, experienced driver, felt that the taxi did not have shock absorbers, for she was feeling all the shaking of the car. As a result, the car stopped one more time on the Boulevard du 30 Juin. It had to be pushed to restart. We arrived at the hospital at 10 a.m. I headed straight in the delivery room. Without delay, I laid on one of the available beds. I gave the nurse the name of my gynecologist, who was the medical director. As soon as he was informed, my water broke. He arrived a few minutes later. He told me, "Push!" I pushed with all my strength and boom! Suddenly, the child came out whole. "Madam, I warned you, this child will be a cannon shot. And here you go." At 10:30 a.m., I gave birth to my third child without tearing. You weighed 3.3 kilograms and you were healthy. You were very cheeky. You had an even dark chocolate skin complexion. And you were born with a hairstyle similar to the famous Congolese wrestler Edingwe. In America, this hairstyle is called the mohawk. It is a hairstyle similar to the rooster or hen's comb. As for Dad, he only arrived at the hospital at 2 p.m. Each year, on my birthday, my mother tells me this story. My story. My early beginnings on this earth. At my birth, my mother was 25 and my dad 35. There was a big age gap between my brothers and I. 9 years between my elder sister, Virginie, and me, and 7 years between my big brother and me. Why? The reason behind this big age gap is simple. On one hand, my father did not want to have more than two children, as he came from a large family where only boys went to school. Now, cognizant of the importance of education, he wanted to give the same chances of success to each of his children, regardless of gender. Thus, he only wanted two children. He often said to my mother, "I have a boy and a girl. That's all." So it's no surprise that my older sister and brother are only 2 years apart. On the other hand, my mother had a different opinion, given that she wanted four children. More precisely, she wanted two boys and two girls. She also came from a big family and got married very young. So, during the time following my older brother's birth, she prayed constantly, hoping to convince my father to agree with her point of view. 7 years later, God finally answered her request. I am the third of the family. I was born 7 years after my big brother. I was a desired child, the fruit of many prayers. I came into the world during my parents' most prosperous period. Their businesses were working very well. Financially, we were at ease. My layette was a proof of that. A large luxury crib. All baby accessories were from Chico or Penaten, two big brands popular in Europe and Africa in the 80s. We were part of the middle class. Dad worked at the Direction Générale des Contributions, which is called today Direction Générale des Impôts. My mom managed several businesses, including a refreshment bar, a mill, two food stores, and a pharmacy. Mama Kulutu, the eldest sister of my mother, helped my mom during my first 6 months of life. Wow, she took care of me, bathing, changing diapers, feeding, while mom was recovering in sleep, strength, and health. Furthermore, this allowed my mother to mainly focus on my breastfeeding. Mama Kulutu did it willingly and for free as required by the tradition. Lessons to the parents who are listening to me: celebrate your children's birthdays, not only with parties, but also in telling the course of this special day, the circumstances in which the miracle of life occurred. This is a unique experience, particularly for the mother who, depending on the case, lived it intensely, gratefully, as a feeling of accomplishment, a reached goal, and a game changer. And for the son or daughter who celebrate their birthday, it is a reminder of one's vocation or mission on earth, a proof of the goodness and love of God. The word of Yahweh in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, we read, even before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Even before you came out of the womb, I consecrated you. I have made you a prophet to the nations. To siblings, please do not monetize everything. God will remember you and bless you, especially for your free gestures and actions.